Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today is a really exciting collaboration, and if you have been following my community posts, you'll sort of know what this is all about and who the wonderful collaborators, because it's a group of four of us together, are for this particular literary based or literary themed pick a card collaboration. But just in case you haven't, so you're not aware of that, or you've just stumbled upon this because you're intrigued by the title, the derivation of this collaboration is me and four other talented readers, and how it came about is that one of the collaborators, Damselflies, is relatively new, I think, to pick a card. She has a very lovely, gentle, beautiful style, really great reader. But she's also a literary buff, and a lot of her channel, when I first sort of went to it and subscribed, is actually her sort of reading and working with literature, and I really love that. I love writers, and so I had a talk with her about whether or not she'd like to collab on some sort of pick a card that had to do with literature, and she was interested, and we got really excited talking about it. We decided, let's make it even more complicated. Let's do one suit each, and let's get two other readers. And so we asked our mutual, we had a mutual sort of like couple of favourites that we wanted to go to and asked to do that, and that is the wonderful Reena from Gold Key Guidance and the sort of charming and talented Odessa Moll from Odessa Moll, Mystic Intuitive Healer, both of whom I've also collaborated with before, and it's a delight to collaborate with them anytime that I can. So happily they both said yes and we're on board. So then when we started talking, we thought, oh, we'll make it even more complicated. Let's actually do it close to Halloween or on Halloween. And so when we're picking our literature, so a literary work or set of works that connect to the energy of the different suit in the tarot deck, let's also think about what might have a Halloweeny feel. It doesn't have to be about Halloween, but, you know, like have a bit of magic, a bit of mystery, a bit of darkness, a bit of challenge. So that's what we did, and we each took a suit, and my suit was Pentacles, and in the description box below you'll see the links to all the others and what suits the others took. And we decided in the lead up to it that we might put out various forms of teasers around what our particular literary work might be. So some of you may have seen that, and I'm filming this before I even start to sort of publish those, so I don't know whether people have sort of like guessed in the comments or anything, but hopefully that was a bit of fun, and the others would have been doing a similar thing. So today, for those that were involved in that, I can either confirm if you guessed it or let you know that the literature that I felt could work best with the suit of Pentacles, when looking at Pentacles as what you want to manifest in the world, was Game of Thrones. So there's a kind of a theme in this that we're going to be looking at, which is almost like allegorically, what is your Iron Throne? What would getting the Iron Throne mean for you? And how would you do it? And from the Pentacles perspective, you know, what are the skills and so forth that you would bring to it? What is that dream? What is the Iron Throne to you? And who are the competitors, or what's in the environment, you know, and who are your allies? Those sort of things. We're going to look at all of that for how you can manifest what you want. So that's what I'm going to be doing with my suit, and I will occasionally probably refer to Game of Thrones, but I don't claim to be an expert on Game of Thrones. I really enjoyed the series, but I'm not sort of someone who is deep in the lore of it. So if any of you, or the canon, and if any of you are and you want to sort of add anything in the comments, that'd be lovely. That's completely up to you. But I've been trying to sort of structure it around that sort of theme of the Iron Throne. And I also thought in terms of the choice of piles, I would take out 3 cards. I'm using the Somnia Tarot because to me it is one of my most Pentacles feeling decks, and I also felt it kind of picks up the mystery and magic in its imagery that kind of was a bit Game of Thrones-esque. So that's the thinking of it. So I'll put down the 3 numbers for those who like that. But just in the choice of cards, and it's just completely me thinking about 3 representations of characters from Game of Thrones, it may help you choose, but you don't have to choose by this. I don't know whether it'll correlate with what comes up in the reading. But for pile number 1, I have the Queen of Wands, and this made me think of Daenerys, so the mother of dragons, because dragons, of course, you equate with fire, and wands, fire energy, and so forth. For pile number 2, I have the High Priestess, and this makes me think of Melisandre, so the Red Woman or the Red Witch. And for pile number 3, I have the King of Swords to represent the Night King, or, you know, the king of the Ice Walkers. and so forth. So just 3 different characters, 3 different aspects of the canon of Game of Thrones that might help you choose. The imagery may, or you may do it in some other way. If you need to pause the video, of course, do so. If you want to go to more than one reading, by all means do so. Do whatever suits you. You can see my little dragon sitting here, very much a kind of Game of Thrones dragon-esque type of energy as well in the surroundings that I have here. But that's probably all I need to do by way of introduction. The timestamps are in the description box below. When you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I will see you there. Welcome, pile 1, to your reading. So we've got a little bit of a complex map here to start with, which I will describe, and it's a little bit crowded for room. But the idea in getting a sort of sense about what your Iron Throne is, what you are bringing to it, and what you might be dealing with in your environment or in competitors are in these sort of 3 things. So this is around your skills, abilities, approach. This is a bit of a distillation of what the Iron Throne may mean to you, and this is a little bit about competitors or the environment that you're in. So this is interesting. I actually feel for most of the people who've come to pile 1 that while this is about Pentacles, so it is about what you manifest. I don't think you're necessarily looking to manifest a regime or manifest a business or manifest a sort of a lot of money in the bank. I mean, all of these things may come as a result of what you're truly trying to manifest. But there's a lot in this around self-acceptance and acceptance of others, and bringing something that is of real value to others, and something that brings a sense of beauty and inclusion and balance and sort of openness. It's a very lovely feeling about this, I have to say. In terms of your sort of skills and so forth, you have the 2 of air in this particular deck, the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. This is really about balancing light and shadow. It's about balancing the different aspects of self, and you have the vampire energy. I had to use the Halloween oracle for the Halloween part of this, and this deck doesn't talk about vampire in a negative way. It talks about it as emotional intelligence, and I feel like you do. Part of your skill is you are brilliant with people. You are really, really emotionally intelligent. You understand difference. You can deal with it, and you can find that which is able to grow and build, and that which can bring comfort, serenity. There's a real sense in you, whether it's in your love relationships, your career, your family, whatever it is, that you are like it's almost like you're the temperance card embodied in a way. You really bring the balance to things. And a lot of your manifestation comes from being able to grow things that are of great beauty and great balance, and very emotionally intelligent. Any of you that work in any kind of field that requires emotional intelligence, being a leader, being in various forms of sort of relationship, psychology and so forth, even being in difficult and contested environments like politically or in terms of sort of social projects or whatever, your emotional intelligence is really, really key. And it's interesting because the sense I have over here of your competitor is what your key advantage against your competitor is that I think this person over here, or these people, they aren't as necessarily mature as you. There's a sense of the youth over here. There's a lot, they have a lot of focus. You have some whatever this is that you're trying to achieve, your competitors around you, they're very ambitious. They are very achievement focused. They know how to grab great opportunities. But there's almost an immature energy around them as well with the youth. It's sort of like they're starting out. You're well established, I think. You know what it takes with breeding, growth, reproduction here. You know how to actually take something from the beginning to the end. You know how to make it beautiful. You know how to deal with people. This feels kind of brash and a little bit like they think they're just destined, and if something doesn't work out, the sort of star-crossed energy here, it's sort of like, they're not necessarily learning to take the responsibility for themselves. So there's a sort of a sense of whatever it is, wherever you have a competitor, it is probably going to be with somebody who wants what you can do naturally because you have this degree of emotional intelligence and this degree of maturity and balance. But they want it fast and they think they should just have it. So it's almost an entitled feeling over here. And I find it really, I do think that most of them, for the most part, kind of sabotage themselves. And the black cat, it's very interesting to get that because it is talking about fortune and opportunity. So they would be good, they would be lucky sometimes, definitely. But they conflate, I think, luck as success and achievement, and then when it doesn't work out, it's not, they don't take the responsibility of star-crossed. They go, oh no, this is sort of something was done to me or whatever. So there's a sort of a sense of any successes that they have, they will think is all down to their talent, and any lack of success is down to other factors that have nothing to do with them. That's their kind of Achilles heel, whereas I think you're much more aware. You're much more mature, as I say, of what you're doing. What you're trying to achieve, your Iron Throne, as I say, this doesn't look like it has to be sort of something really material. It could, as I say, result in something material, like, as I say, running your own business, getting a promotion, starting a family, anything that sort of feels material pentacles wise, it could be. But you're coming from a sense of self-acceptance and wanting to help others have a similar sense of self-acceptance. With Prometheus here, the sort of like divine masculine energy around you is very altruistic. You're very gentle. You're not weak. These people over here may think when you are gentle and you find the balance and you find the joy that you might be weak, but that would be misinterpreting you. You are not weak at all. Prometheus was not weak at all. I mean, Prometheus defied the gods and gave fire to mankind so that they could find this fiery joy. He gave knowledge to mankind and he suffered for it. He's not weak at all. But I think that sometimes people do, particularly this sort of energy over here, do see kindness and benevolence as weakness. That's not at all true. And this is one of your secret weapons because you come from moral high ground. If you were in a organization and you were dealing with politics in the organization, people will see you and know you as someone who is doing something for the greater good. And that you are definitely, with the moss energy here around the sort of growth, you're all about the new and the bringing in the joy of the new. You're a very creative person. And with the Four of Water here, which in this deck is about, you've come to a sense of self-love and acceptance. And it may have been hard won. It might not have been easy at all. You may, in fact, have been like your competitor at some point, but the difference being that you've moved past the blame game when it doesn't work out. You've taken responsibility. You've understood it. This is because of this emotional intelligence. But that could have been hard won, or you could have just been born with it. It'll depend on who comes to this. But you know what it is to feel comfortable within yourself, like light and shadow, like masculine and feminine, all of that sort of thing. You want to bring that to others. You really want to share joy in some way, and be in the moment too with rejoicing in the present. It's sort of, this is what I'm saying, that I feel like for you, you're likely to achieve a lot, but it's more because you enjoy the process and you enjoy the connection with others and you enjoy, the sort of like the creative energy and that doing something for the greater good. I think by virtue of that, you become very successful, but it's because of that. Whereas I think that your competitors are more like, what are the glittering prizes? I have to be achiever, I have to win. And when I'm not, it's because I'm star-crossed in some way. Now, there is one thing that's very specific that could be the case for some of you. With star-crossed here, your natural energy towards success and this high ambition energy, this could also bring in, you could end up in a relationship with somebody who becomes a bit of a competitor. Now, that's going to be specific. It's not going to be everybody. I think for the most part, most of the people who are wanting the same Iron Throne as you don't even understand what it is. It's like they want something that comes out of what is truly your Iron Throne. Your Iron Throne is a sort of a very emotionally authentic, altruistic, creative, joyful sort of interplay with other people and bringing out the best. And that kind of then has certain outcomes. They think your Iron Throne is the outcome and they're after the outcome because they're still a little bit immature. There was a movie I watched many years ago and I often think about it. It's called With Honours, and I watch it because I like Brendan Fraser, and Brendan Fraser was in it. And there's he's a very ambitious university student. In the thing, and he meets this homeless man who turns out to be very wise, and I won't spoil it for you, but there's a point at which the homeless man says to him that something, I won't get the quote right because I can't remember exactly, but it was something to the essence of, winners don't care about winning, they just love the race. And I think this is the thing that maybe your competitor has to eventually see. So it's like, in a Game of Thrones thing, it would be the difference between wanting the Iron Throne because you want to bring in an honourable outcome, like that Ned Stark sort of feeling, compared to somebody who just wants it for the power of it and so forth. So I think that this is a really nice starting point for you, because it suggests to me that you are naturally ahead of your competitors for what you're trying to achieve, because they don't even really understand what you're trying to achieve. So, but it's a lovely energy that you have. And so I like to see this sort of sense that you're likely to win in this. So that's a great starting point. So what we're going to do is now use tarot. So we're using the Somnia Tarot that we were using before, and we're going to have a look in a little bit more detail. So I want to have a look at a little bit more about your power and claim to the throne, then about what is that throne to you, a little bit more about that, like what would that mean if you were on the throne, if you gained the throne, and then, you know, a little bit more about who battles with you and what don't you see, both in terms of a challenge and also a wild card that's in your favour. So we're going to get in a little bit more specific detail now, having got the sort of overall map. So firstly, just a little bit more about what is your power and claim to the throne. Knight of Wands reversed, Eight of Wands reversed, Page of Coins reversed, Four of Swords, Eight of Cups reversed. Okay, so remember I said that I felt that maybe your maturity was hard won? I think this is true. I think that maybe, you know, as I say, maybe you started out a bit like the competitors here, you know, but you matured. Some people don't, and you definitely matured. But it looks as though part of your sort of skill and your power and claim to the throne is you know, like knowing when to let go of emotional issues and when to hold on to them. So there may be sort of something, particularly if there is a thing with a competitor where, you know, you might have every reason to have been burnt by someone like this and not to forget it, but you put it in a quiet place. You don't let it be sort of like really seen. So if you have wounds, if you have come across people that didn't understand what you were doing, people that were trying to compete, you know, for the issues of ego and so forth, as opposed to the greater good, you know how to kind of process that in your own time. In fact, one of your great skills is patience. You don't rush when you shouldn't rush. Knight of Wands reverse, great deal of passion, you know, because you want to bring the joy. You have a really great vision, but you temper that. And Eight of Wands, you don't rush into things until you're ready. You know that you don't want to manifest something until you've actually sorted some of this thing out and so forth. So this is part of your emotional intelligence. You consider things in the quiet, and you don't rush into decisions. It does look, however, to me like whatever you have you'll have a drive towards, as I say, altruism, towards, you know, the greater good for the greater number, all of that kind of thing, and whatever this means for you. But it does look to me like there is a lot of potential materially about this that you haven't even really started to look at yourself. So again, going back to that analogy of, like, you know, the quote, you know, saying like, you know, winners don't care about the outcome, they just love to run, or whatever it was. There is maybe here, Spirit is saying that you actually have a real capacity to plan what this looks like materially, but you haven't fully accessed this yet. And at its best, you don't do that until you know fully what you want to do. So that is a skill, until you know fully what the terrain is and what the outcome is, what is the new beginning. And it is partly because you are about new beginnings, because the Page of Coins reverse in a way is you haven't got to that point of like how this manifests. What this says to me, that some of you may be the sort of people, I'll just use an organizational example. You may be people who are very good in sort of like innovation. One of the things, you know, you might go in and you might come up with new products or new systems or new approaches and so forth. But you aren't necessarily the person that stays and implements it. You are the person who is the ideas person. This would very much fit with this. So that may be one of your particular skills in positioning yourself towards, it's always about the idea, the innovation, the breakthrough, and what that could do and then you get other people around you potentially who are the business people. That may also be part of what gives you the strength. And a lot about sitting on a throne, you need to have the right counselors around you. You need to have the right people who have the different skill set, and you've got the emotional intelligence to do that. Whereas I feel like the people who are competing with you may not. They may think they should have to do everything, or they're the only ones. There's something a little bit narcissistic about that energy, I think. So let's see, what is the throne to you? Particularly given that it may not be the manifestation of something. It may be the new beginnings. Let's see what else Spirit wants to say about this for you. Seven of Swords reversed. Five of Cups. Page of Swords. Ten of Wands. Okay, I think you revive things. I think it's like this moss, breeding, growth, reproduction, bringing the beauty and comfort in, making people feel joy again, the new beginnings. I think that your throne, your thing is about getting authentic, like breaking through anything that's sort of like not honest, and getting past unhappiness in some way so that people can get a clarity so that, you know, like burdens are lifted. Like you feel like an amazing change agent in some way, in an organization, in a consultancy, in relationships. If you were, you know, a therapist, then I think it's all about getting to the core, a core of how communication is operating within an environment to actually relieve emotional burdens. I think you're all about clearing things away. There's this gardening thing. I feel, I'm not saying you're a gardener. You could be a gardener, and there's nothing wrong with that. Gardeners are amazing. But there's a gardening feeling to this, which is sort of like there is a time and a season to everything. There is the time to plant the new, but before you get to that, you actually have to clear out the old. So I feel like you're a change agent. I feel like part of your Iron Throne is change. If you were a political person, you would not want to just go in and just do what the last person did. You would really want to be a new broom, and you would want to relieve burdens and align communication better and get rid of duplicity. So it's all this very Promethean feeling, but it's knowledge too, because fire was an analogy for knowledge with Prometheus. So I think there is sort of like better communication, like stopping things from being harder than they need to be. Like you could be an efficiency expert as well in an organization, someone who goes in and says, you know, why are you doing things this way? You know, here's a different way of doing it. Here's a way to release your energy and so forth. But you're more like that. You're more like sort of someone who, as I say, is a change agent, new ideas, new innovation, or efficiency expert, rather than the person who is doing the doing every day. I think that's where your particular throne is. So let's see who's a little bit more about this sort of, I think a little bit immature, maybe a little bit too, it's immature energy, I think, is potential competitors for you at the moment. Nine of Coins reversed, the Hierophant reversed, Ace of Coins reversed, Three of Swords, Four of Coins. Okay, this person, see, they are the polar opposite to you. They're very, what's the material outcome oriented. I mean, three of those cards are coins. And I think they are frustrated at the moment. I would say our personal people around you are frustrated at the moment. There is some, they may even, if this was in a workplace, in fact, one of your competitors may just have left or might be about to leave, which, you know, potentially could be a good thing if it's an issue for you at the moment. They do feel when something doesn't go right, because they have such a strong belief that they should have all the toys. It's very, very painful to them. Whereas for you, I think you're kind of able to go with the flow. You would diagnose with that thing in the middle about what is the wrong use of effort, even for yourself. You know, you are able to do that with the emotional intelligence. These people need people. They don't want to admit they do, but they really do need people. They are starting to establish something. So as I say, if it's in a workplace, they are starting to build their career. They are an achiever. They have skills, but yeah, as I say, it's kind of like it's not going as far as they want yet, and they're not the new thinker. So this is the thing, you are. Ace of Coins reversed to me tells me that they aren't on the material one that bring the person who brings in the new. They'd like to be. They think they're very unconventional. They think they're very, you know, anarchic almost. But they're not. Innovation is not their thing. The irony about this is I think they look up to you and they want to be like you. And as I say, I think you are probably achieving something through what you're trying to do that they really want, but they don't understand how you're doing it. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like they aren't, and they're almost tilting towards the wrong thing. They would be better to be the people who, after you came in with the innovation, then consolidated it. Then it would actually work really well. But there's an ego issue with them, I think. Okay, so let's get two cards for what don't you see that could be a challenge to you, and what don't you see that could be a wild card, or a couple of wild cards that would help you. So firstly, two cards that are a challenge that you don't see. Knight of Swords reversed. Strength, okay, and then wild cards that you have up your sleeve. The Emperor reversed. The Five of Wands reversed. Okay. So what you maybe don't see coming is that for all that these sort of people, and it could be a type of person or it could be a particular person, are not as mature as you, they are quite calculated, and that is a strength of theirs. So, and they can appear to be, they're very rush forward without thinking, but they can appear not to be that. So, if you're in a competition with this person for, who should be in a position, they could make themselves appear much more conventional than they are if that was what was necessary. There is a kind of a sense of they really think about what they say. They really think about how they present themselves, and that is a strength that they have. And you may underestimate that a bit because they seem callow and they seem very self-focused, but there is a kind of a calculated energy to them to be aware of. What you have up your sleeve is that you can diffuse any kind of power issue. Like, so if this is an illegitimate power, if this was even someone who is less mature than you but is in a position of power, you can diffuse the energy around that very well. You're the natural leader, but the one who doesn't necessarily want to be a leader. But whenever there is sort of like turmoil or issues like that, people are going to come to you. So it's a wild card you have. People trust you. And particularly in situations where they maybe don't trust the sort of things that are going on around. So it's a wild card you have in crisis, and where power is illegitimate, you are able to diffuse that. But don't underestimate the stealthy sort of energy of people who want what you have but don't fully understand what it is. Okay, it's interesting. So let's get a little bit more into personality aspects. What I wanted to do, I've got 3 different decks, 2 that are personality and 1 that is sort of like more mythic and Halloween-y. And I want to get a card for you, for an ally or allies you might have, and a little bit more about the competitor each time. So firstly, for you, no. For an ally or allies that you might have around you, color. And for the competitor energy, secretiveness. Yeah, there you go. They're crafty. They're cunning. They are. They definitely are. You don't underestimate that. They seem brash, and they seem to be you would probably think they don't understand what's going on in many ways, and they're kind of full of hot air and all that kind of thing, but they are secretive, and they could do things behind people's backs. For you, this is again your emotional intuition. You just know, and people know, this is what I'm saying. People go to you for gravitas. They go to you for honor. They go to you for what will bring things back into alignment, or what will make things better. People just think you probably had that said to you in careers and around friends. You probably have friends who come to you for like that emotional clarity, all that kind of thing. Highly intuitive as well. So there's definitely a psychic sort of energy, really reading a room, all of those sort of things. And that's something that you have. You will have around you very colourful, interesting, creative people. I think because you are an innovator, you're going to draw to you people who really get what you're doing and love what you're doing. Really interesting characters, fun characters. It's really nice. It's a nice sort of sense of like those who want to partake of the joy. This sort of feels like, almost like, some of those sort of, I'm thinking like 1980s sort of teen sort of things where they're sort of like the sort of fun characters and the ones that are really enjoying it, and then the person who's sitting off to the side sort of plotting. That's kind of what it feels like. Let's see another aspect around this. So for you, something else about you. Teal, objective, shy, supportive, trusty. Yeah, you are. You're very supportive. You're very trustworthy. You might be a bit shy. You may attract some extroverts who sort of like really take your idea and really want to enliven it and all that kind of thing. Sort of fun people you may be a little bit shy. But you're very objective, as I say. People really respond to you. And for the ally, wood, olive skin, aesthetic, green. So this could literally describe someone or people around you that are allies. I think wood also to me is like reliable. It's sort of like it stands the test of time. Your allies are going to be with you. And the competitor or competitors, air. So again, this could describe some physically potentially. But equally, it could be very much in the mind. They're very much in their mind. These people are very good communicators. It's different to you. You're a good communicator because you come from a sense of joy and authenticity and people and knowledge, and people just know that you are fair. But these ones are cunning as hell. It's sort of got a Shakespearean Iago, from Othello type feeling to it. All right, which will make it very interesting because they're quite interesting, these people over there. They're not, the good thing for you is that they're not that mature, so I think that you're well ahead of them, but, you have to be aware. So we're going to also get a card from the Deep, Dark and Dangerous. So this is a more mythic energy and a more Halloween energy to describe each of you in this. So firstly for you, Selkie, freedom. Okay. So this is moving through water. This is shapeshifter. You can be the shapeshifter when it's necessary, and you remain authentic in doing it. You're able to sort of flow and move with the flow and bring out the best in people. And you do want freedom. This is one of the things. This is what these people may not understand. I think one of the reasons you're an innovator and you're all about the kind of sharing of knowledge and the sharing of creative joy and all that kind of thing. And you might not even hang around half the time to sort of see the thing fully done. It's not, though, in some cases you might become, start your own business, and then you have the creative people around you and you have the ideas and you let them get on with it. You really value freedom and you like people who have freedom. And if you felt caught in too conventional a place, I think you're likely to sort of move on. For your ally, Lemure, loneliness. Okay, so it may well be that some of the people that come to you, because you are very emotionally adept, you may find, it's interesting, I think you may find people who have felt different, who felt quirky, who haven't been understood. You can see diversity and so forth. You can see what's beautiful when others maybe don't see beauty. This is part of the reason why they become very, very dedicated to you, because you've actually taken them out of that sense of loneliness, and you've also brought out their color, because it's kind of like, I think with this card, if you took the sheet off each of these characters, they'd be colorful and wonderful, but something's made them feel isolated. Your emotional intelligence has found them, and has started to build their sense of self. So that's kind of lovely. Let's see the mythic energy around your competitor. The harpy, chaos. They make a lot of noise. Harpies make a lot of noise. They kind of screech and make a lot of noise, which is going to be their potential downfall. They are cunning and they can be secretive sometimes, but sometimes these people are just over the top. And chaos. They would potentially sow chaos if they didn't think they could get what they wanted. And it's partly, I think, because they really do, as I say, right from the beginning, I had the sense that when things go their way, and they do have talents, they'll go, it's my talents, it's my achievement, it's the right thing. And when it doesn't, they'll think it's something wrong. There's not a sense of self-responsibility. They're likely to harp on, literally, which I think is why you're going to have the edge, because even if they kind of like play their little games, at some point something's not going to go the way they want, and they're likely to really, really arc up about it. Whereas you know how to go with the flow and find the balance, and you draw loyal people to you because you are about what is inclusive and caring, whereas they're about them. So I do think it's a very clear thing that shows how you can win the Iron Throne in this case. So let's see a couple of signs that you might see that you're getting close to the Iron Throne. I think for you it would happen over and over, actually, but like that you're on the pattern of what you're doing that would bring you this sort of sense of creative joy, liberation, freedom, altruism that I think will probably make you quite a lot of money or a lot of material sort of security, certainly around friends, allies, family, lovers, all that kind of thing. But let's just get a couple of cards for signs that might be happening. So firstly, a dream sign, death. Now that's interesting. If you dream about death or about things to do with death, this is a transitional sort of energy. So it makes sense. It's like, again, I said this gardening metaphor. I think there's a sort of a sense of what died so that new things can come through. I do think for you, it's a very cyclic thing. And I think when you are at the point where you're about to birth something new, you're about to have that Iron Throne again, you will probably have that sort of sense of like change and death and dream about those kinds of things. And then another sign is an oracle. Renewal, rebirth. Oh, how perfect is that, pile one? You go from winter into spring and summer, basically, the gardening metaphor again. And that sort of sense of, again, the phoenix is such a beautiful, beautiful creature, and this is what is representing the renewal and rebirth here. And finding the colour in the phoenix and others. Like I think you'll see it when some of the people that become your allies sort of really, really loosen up and become who they are, and you can sort of see this lovely blossoming around it on that level as well too. Or the idea starts to really form and go forward. You definitely have the profile of someone who would be an amazing change agent, as I say. So if that's sort of something that you're interested in your career, that could very well be a way you would manifest your Iron Throne. Let's get you 3 cards from astrology or numerology as well to light your path. Capricorn, yeah. I do think for many of you, this is meant to play out and work, I have to say. And it may turn out to be the case quite a bit with these readings because it's Pentacles. But, Pentacles can also be other material things, health. It can be sort of setting up families and all that kind of thing. But there is something about the powers of the world. You are very adept at dealing with that. And I think this will play out in your career and you're likely to be very, very successful. But as I say, I think that's almost a secondary thing that comes out of why you're doing it. And these people over here don't understand it because they're only seeing the success. And they're wanting the glittering prizes, but they're not necessarily sure about what that means. Then we have 10th house, this is definitely around your career. Definitely around your career. And who you are in the world and being very, very successful in the world. And 3rd house and how you communicate with others. The message that you bring. So it could say for many of you that these sort of like brilliant emotional intelligence and the capacity for the new plays out as a very successful and very seen communication change sort of energy within work. But as I say, it doesn't have to be that, but I feel like that's the real key energy that we're getting here. So what we're going to finish up on for a bit of fun is that I'm using the different, every once in a while I use like the love oracles, the music oracles, the success oracles or whatever. And I chose 3 of them that I thought represented the other suits in tarot, to sort of remind you that, this is just the Pentacles thing, go and see what Reena is saying about, the sort of fire energy, the Wands energy, go and see what Odessa is saying about cups, go and see what Damselflies is saying about air. So I thought I'd choose one for each, and I feel that the cups energy, the love oracles could work. So I'm just this is probably more about the people than anything and what they're saying. It's just a bit of fun. Could be humorous, it could be deep, but we'll just see who you get and what you have to say. So this is looking at kind of cups energy in this, so what you might love or care about in relation to your Iron Throne. You've got Elizabeth Taylor. We'll look at what she's saying in a minute. Then in terms of the fire and the ambition, and a lot of this is around, I think, success in the material world. So the Wands energy from the success oracles. Have Takashi Murakami. Oh yeah, great artist, like, and difference and sort of like the shock of the new. Very, very fitting for you. And then for air, so this is sort of really, thinking, philosophy, communication, all of that sort of stuff. We'll have somebody from the music oracles. Diana Ross. Okay. All right. So Elizabeth Taylor's advice to you around the heart in relation to your gaining of your Iron Throne. Don't run so fast that you can't be caught. So I think it is important to, get your allies and you are a little bit ahead of the pack. This is part of your genius, but you do need to also be able to connect with others. She says you can be a big fan of marriage, just be an even bigger fan of diamonds. I think this connects to the freedom energy. I feel like you would probably go in and out of organizations or in and out of things. And I think the diamond for you is the joy of the creation. And she says, true friends last longer than marriage, however many times you marry. So I think it's pointing to the fact you are going to have some really great allies and friends. Around the energy for Wands, so success, ambition in the world and so forth, you've got Takashi Murakami, who is an artist who, as you can sort of see with the way he's depicted, was very much like the shock of the new. He says, if a museum's cash register rings, answer it. So I think this is kind of saying, you could make a lot of money out of this skill, and it's lovely that you come from this beautiful place, but, you can also have success, and the two don't have to be mutually exclusive. He says the difference between style and brand is copyright. So I think this is all about you and what is individual to you. And earn your artistic license to change lanes. Yeah, because you want the freedom. Definitely. And then around air, communication, thought and everything, we have Diana Ross. Make sure that they never see the last of you. So I think this is, like you leave your mark, even if you move on. She says, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing in a ball gown. So yeah, be artistic, have joy, have fun with it. And you can be better, you can be a better you than anyone else. And that's absolutely true. And there's a core of that. And I think you actually are going to show that to others. And it's going to be part of what is your Iron Throne. So I hope that that's been a bit of fun. I hope that it's given you some sort of idea about how the Suit of Pentacles could help you this Halloween and in your life in general. And I do hope you go and see the other readings as well, because it's been a lot of fun doing this collaboration. But for now, if you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. If you enjoyed the reading, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So this rather complicated spread, or it looks complicated, I guess, because of the number of cards and the room on the table, is meant to look at 3 parts of a map around your quest for your Iron Throne, your Pentacles quest. The first 4 cards are around your skills, abilities, and the energy you're bringing it to it. The second is a bit of a distillation of what the Iron Throne would mean to you, what it is that you're trying to achieve. And the third is a bit of an idea, and sorry that it's a little bit hard to see because of the ring light, but that's Lilith. Energy around a major competitor or a person that you need to sort of deal with, even if they aren't a competitor. And I think it could be one or either in this. This is very interesting. This feels like it's karmic and potentially generational sort of karma as well, particularly with the father sort of turning up there. But this feels like the people who've come to this, you are very, very loyal to something. But I feel like either in this life or another life, you felt like that loyalty has been tested, or there's something that you need to atone for, or that your family needs to atone for, or there's sort of something, in a kind of Game of Thrones sort of thing. It's like, a particular lineage or line that had, like they talk about the Mad King, for instance, that kind of thing. There's something, I think, that you want to move past and get something back on track. This could play out in a workplace, it could play out in family dynamics, it could play out in a relationship that you want to ground and have in a long-term pentacle sort of way. It could be anything, but there's a real sense in this around you wanting to almost repair something. It could be, and it feels like generational karma or something like that. But it could be a relationship. It could even be your sense of your destiny and so forth. Because part of your creation, like what you're trying to create, is to bring back a sense of self-esteem and to be able to face fears with our Puk here and with Amaterasu, but in a wild way, but also a knowledgeable way, using knowledge to somehow be able to navigate that which is wild, that which could be of fear, that where you have to be really sure of yourself, and going in with this sort of sense with the seneschal, which is here like the Knight of Pentacles, but it's sort of like this loyal sort of like person who has a cause or a master or something like that. The interesting thing for some of you, quite literally, is you may either like a father figure, a manager, a mentor or whatever, you may be about to move beyond that person, and this might be the energy that we're seeing, and you're a little bit concerned about that. You need to sort of have, and you wonder about whether that's being disloyal. So that's one way of reading these cards as well too. Or it is time for you to move from being the trusted support to being a leader. Like, in Game of Thrones, like Ned Stark in the first series, where unfortunately an awful thing happened to him, but he was sort of like on the side of right and the side of good. And it was really, ideally someone like him moving up to the Iron Throne. But of course, that wonderful epic had so much more to happen beyond that. So there's a sort of a sense of that. There's a sense here of you being very loyal to something, but almost feeling like something has to be repaired with atonement here. There's a sort of a sense of loyalty and holding yourself to incredibly high standards, maybe too high. But on the other hand, you do know how much you can do. You do know whatever this is, that this fear, this approach, this new thing, this whatever it is, you do know that you are the person who is for this task. You are the person for this task. And part of your Iron Throne is to show that, to have the self-esteem, to go in where angels fear to tread, basically, and explore it, but to go in with knowledge, knowing, and so forth. So there's something about your knowledge and your ability in here. And your intuition. You're highly intuitive. You almost got a prophet sense of what's going on. So you know, it's like you've seen in whatever this is that you're the person for the job, even if you feel like, maybe you feel like you tried to do this one time before and it didn't work, I don't know. Or maybe, as I say, you feel that with this being your potential competitor or challenge in some way, it may very much be that you're ready to step beyond someone who's been a support or a teacher or a mentor to you. And they may or may not have an issue with that. And there's a kind of a dual play going there, which I'll get to. But I definitely think that for you, you're coming into knowing that it's your time to step up. There's something that you want to repair. There's something you've seen that other people haven't seen, and you're the one person who can do it. And in achieving the Iron Throne, it is facing your fears. It is allowing the wildness, but doing it in a way that has a lot of knowledge associated with it, and a sense, a knowing that you are the one who can do it. Your competitor or challenger, as I say, could be someone who had a position of authority over you or does have a position of authority over you. And you have a real strong connection. This could be karmic with the lamp, with remembrance. There could be a lot to this, or it could be coming through your family, as I say. So it's hard. It's hard because I think you feel almost disloyal to do this, but you know that you have to do it. And with Lilith, they are very powerful too. You are both powerful. You are both powerful psychically, magically. I find it very interesting that you chose to come to the reading that had Melisandre. So that sort of sense of like sorcery and knowledge. There is something like that. And this person is formidable, and you do have some sort of karmic connection, and possibly with Cancer, a family connection or an emotional connection. So it's a complex situation, but there's something that you have to do. You have to step up, and only you can do it. They can't really, even if you would have thought before they would be the one to do it. The other thing that this makes me think of, and it's a different literary or television series, Illusion, but it does make me think of it, so I want to say it, is sort of, this feels like Twin Peaks. In Twin Peaks they talk about going into the Black Lodge, which is in a sense going in to face your fears, all that is wild and is dark. But you need to have the knowledge of who you are and the self-esteem. If you go in with perfect courage, you will go then to the White Lodge. So there is a sense here of you really stepping into your power in some way. This is your Iron Throne, whatever it is, whether it's stepping up the ladder in the workplace, whether it's starting a business, whether it's establishing a family. It has different patterns to what you've grown up in, whatever it might be. You are the person who can do it, but there is some fear associated with it. It's not an easy energy. So let's get a little bit more detail with tarot. Let's ask, what is your power and your claim to the throne, first off? Eight of Coins, yeah, knowledge. You've definitely got knowledge. Definitely. 10 of Wands. 9 of Wands. 9 of Cups. 5 of Swords. Okay, all right, this is pretty clear. You've definitely got the knowledge. That's one of the things. Your intuition, your scrying, anything that seems to come to you sort of psychically, it has also a level of knowledge. If you are into the esoteric, you could well have high magic or ritual or some sort of particular spiritual thing. If it's around a workplace, you know what you're doing. You've got the qualifications, whatever it might be. You are the person for the job, whatever it is. And because of that, you can keep on keeping on when others can't. With the 10 of Wands, the burden, and the 9 of Wands, there is a lot of pushback around this. There is a lot of ego potentially around it. It's tiring. I mean, I'm feeling tired even doing this. I'm feeling it like a weight on my chest. But you are able to keep on even when that's the case, because you have your eye on the prize, the 9 of Cups. You know what joy would bring. You know what would bring you self-esteem. You know what you were originally dedicated to, and you know when to concede a field of battle when necessary, so that you can come back stronger in another. Like you're very strategic and tactical. You know what you're doing, and you can read an individual battle so that you can win the war. It's like the seneschal always makes me think of the samurai as well. So there's that sort of sense of like the great honor within the battle. But there is a battle. There is a battle. And I think it may be that in some of this energy around the competitor or the challenger is that you might have to accept that you have to cut that relationship out of your life, or you have to have a different type of relationship. It's like you probably can't step into what you need to do and still have the same relationship with that person if it was sort of, as I say, a mentor or something like that. So let's ask a little bit more about this. Let's ask what the throne is to you. So we sort of know that you've got this sort of like pause, I think, and we can see why you're the person for it, but what would the throne mean to you? Ace of Wands reversed, Five of Wands reversed, Eight of Cups reversed, Ten of Cups. Okay. For many of you, as I say, there's a family generational thing around this. So for some of you, just literally looking at this is clearing generational karma, family karma. That's part of what you want to achieve with this, and relieving the sort of conflict that's there, even if it's at the expense of, you know, some of your own creative ideas or whatever. It's like finding the compromise, the way to do it. The throne to you is bringing back the joy, the 9 and the 10 of Cups. And I feel for many of you in a family situation, if it's not in a family situation or a relationship situation, then it is in, you know, a work organization or something. It's ultimately you want the 9 and 10 of Cups. You want the harmony, the sort of sense of being able to explore things, to get rid of the fear, to get rid of the conflict, to get rid of all these emotional issues that haven't been processed for potentially generations or years, depending upon the situation. So it's not about ego to you at all. This is why we've got the seneschal. You would be quite happy to be a bit behind the scenes, but you are the person who needs to do you're the secret sauce for this, and it's all about bringing better harmony in, I think. So who battles for you? Or battles, sorry, not for you, with you. Who is this person over here who is formidable, I have to say? Like, let's get a little bit more information on that. But it could be formidable because of a former relationship of some sort that you've had with them, I think. So with Lilith, they're powerful. You're powerful psychically, so are they. So let's just get a little bit more information. Justice reversed, okay. The Empress reversed, all right. Four of Wands. Ace of Cups, the World reverse. Okay. So again, there's a lot of family energy around this. So I'm going to talk about that first and then more generally. I feel like it is either through your father's line or at least through the line that feels more like the divine masculine. With the Empress reverse and then the father there, I feel like it's more like the patriarchal line. Or if you are in a family where your mother was more masculine in the way she operated than your father was, then it's that line. There's something about really old, deeply ingrained sort of patriarchal type of energy, I think. And there's a sense of a grudge. Like, this person has a grudge. Like, maybe they felt they didn't get something, you know, they didn't get the Iron Throne they wanted. There's a grudge or something that they feel that they're the righteous one here. They feel they're the righteous one. And it's interesting, and they may not even entirely be wrong, in the sense that Lilith, interestingly enough, you know, she was the first woman, you know, before Eve, and she was sort of like relegated out into the darkness, and she has probably good reason for a grudge. So, you know, one of the things that might complicate this, and I don't think it's necessarily a grudge with you, but I think they have a grudge, and you may well have formally gone along with that, but you've realised now that something new has to be brought in. Things have to be atoned, that has to be let go of. So there's something in that energy, and I do feel like they were like in your family or in your friendship circle or something like that. You originally, you know, were close to this person, I think. You might have, even if it's not family, you might have even loved them, and it's unresolved. And as I say, I don't think their feeling towards you is bad, but they feel that this is unresolved as well too. But it's like sort of two people who were formerly allies, one maybe being more the mentor or whatever, and like something has divided this. And it's really making you have to sort of go into your deepest fears and use your knowing, because you might have always relied on this person before, but they've got a grudge and you're over it. You don't want to deal with this anymore. Okay, very interesting energy. So we're going to pull two cards for it, what you might not see that's a challenge, and then two cards that are a wild card, you know, other energy that works for you. So two cards around a challenge that you might not see. Page of Cups reversed. Page of Wands reversed, okay, and then wild cards working in your favour. The Lovers reversed. The Seven of Wands reversed. Okay, wow, okay. There's a lot of other people involved in this, I think. So I'm feeling like family, or it could be work organisations, friendships, ex-lovers. There's a lot of other emotional things associated with this. What you're maybe not seeing, I mean, for some of you, there might be children involved with 2 pages reversed. There could be the impact on children. If this is a family dispute or something like that, or family karma. It could also be that in what you're doing, you're so focused on achieving this thing and sort of atoning for whatever this is and getting rid of all the stuff that you may not be looking at what you would then want emotionally and for your own self. You might be a little bit too selfless. This may be the thing that you're not seeing. It's like you've taken on the cause and you want to atone, but you may not get all that you want to get from the Iron Throne because you're being a bit too selfless. Over here, a wild card for you is that some of the people that the relationship issues with, they don't really have the courage to come out in battle. In fact, it may even be that this competitor, is more likely to sort of sit back and have a grudge and be not happy but not stop you. So your wild card might be that there is something about your ultimate determination and your bravery, because there's a lot of courage in that energy going into the Iron Throne that will be a little bit awe-inspiring to others and work to your advantage. Okay, so let's get a little bit more information about you, maybe an ally or two that you would have, and a little bit more about the competitor. So we're going to use a couple of sort of personality-based decks, then we're going to use an almost mythic Halloween-y type deck as well. So firstly, energy for you, personality-wise, that works for you. Inhabitiveness, okay. Energy that is coming towards you, that will help you from an ally. Circumspection. And energy from this competitor or challenger or challengers, whatever it is. Tune, okay, all right, okay. So one of the things that works for you is you are really in what you're doing. When you are in, you're all in, and that goes with the seneschal. You inhabit this thing. And I think it's about family, or if it's a work organization, it feels like a family, it's really kind of, it crosses the barriers into sort of the emotional and the relational and all that kind of thing. So you're very much in where you are. And you can see things through. As I say, you see things through even when everybody else is exhausted. So that's part of what works for you. What may help you is friends or allies that bring a bit of balance and can kind of get you to reflect within, because it feels to me like there's a lot of emotional stuff here and you haven't really thought about it from your perspective. So I feel like maybe this feels like literally like the sidekick in a movie who often brings the balance, who, the hero is on the journey and they're on the mission, and either through humor or through the things that they say or the way that they sort of speak about things, they bring some internal thinking so that you don't lose sight of what it was for you. The challenger, this is interesting, Tune, this person is formidable. Tune, they are powerful. People listen to them. You probably listen to them. They know how to connect with other people. This is not sort of like an easy thing. And I think you were once very much in tune and in harmony with them, but I don't think you are anymore. Okay, let's get another deck and see what else we get. So firstly, for you, Sagittarius, adventurous, philosophical, brave, honest. Yes, you are very brave and you will move forward. And you're very sort of like oriented towards the freedom and what is philosophically right. So and you're honest. You are honest. This one maybe not so much. Though I don't know whether they would know that about themselves, to be honest. I think that it's just they've got a big grudge, big chip on their shoulder. Let's see some energy around your potential sort of ally or sidekick or sidekicks. Oh, that's interesting. That came up for another reading. Literally, this could describe them physically, but I think this is just, to me, wood is sort of like it's long-standing, it's loyal. I think there's a lot of loyalty around your allies and around this rather powerful challenger. Black, powerful, mysterious, intimidating, influential. Yeah, they are. They're very influential. I still think you can do it because I think in the end you are the hero and you are on the hero's quest and you do achieve it. And they are kind of snookered by their own resentment about something, but they're not to be underestimated. Okay, so now we're going to get the Halloween-y feeling about it, and we're going to use the Deep, Dark and Dangerous deck, and we're going to see what the mythic energy is around each. That'll be very interesting for this one over here. So let's sort of see for you. Cerberus, guardians. Okay, so this is the triple-headed dog and guards the gates of hell. This is, you are a guardian of something. Again, the seneschal, the samurai feeling. You have to do this. Like, whatever this is, whatever you have to battle for the Iron Throne, it's not just to have the Iron Throne, it's for a bigger cause than that. And you're guarding others, I think. You're guarding that which is precious, which also might be, as I say, these 2 Page of Wands reversed. It might be that you have to be very aware of the impact of what you're doing on those that you're protecting. Then for your ally, we have Nyx, darkness. Okay, they're able to deal with the dark. That's why they can bring you to circumspection. And if you have fear going into, it's like, as I said with the Twin Peaks analogy, going into the Black Lodge, they're acquainted with this. They know how to do it. They can help you with that. And there's that sort of like the sense of the quiet of the night as well around them, bringing you into that sort of still place that you'll need to be on occasion. Then the mythic energy around your challenger. Myrmidon, discipline. Okay, see, this is interesting because these were sort of like great warriors, and they did have a major cause. And I think, from memory, they were maybe betrayed. I'm actually going to check that. Okay, I'm glad I checked that because it's not necessarily that they were betrayed, but they fought with Achilles. And of course, the story with Achilles is eventually, because of the famous Achilles heel, there was a loss associated with it. But they're all about discipline. It's interesting. Discipline and harmony and what the group needs and how they work together. As I say, it feels like it's either like a family thing, generational, a work organisation where there's discipline, and they're formidable because they are very focused. They're like, you're similar. And I think that you either looked up to them or learnt from them, or, as I say, they're similar in a way to you, but they've got aggrieved in some way or something. They're on now. Their mission is more like vengeance. Your mission is more about bringing in the good and what is honourable and so forth. Okay, very interesting. So let's get some signs, a couple of signs for you that you are on the right path and that you're achieving whatever this sort of going in and facing your fears and taking your wisdom to achieve whatever it is that you're trying, whatever your mission is. Let's just sort of see a couple of signs for you. So firstly, we have an oracle sign. Wisdom. Yeah, it's the more knowledge you get on whatever this is, the better. Certainly if this is about spiritual things, and it could be with Lilith over there, with scrying here, the more you get knowledgeable about different sort of spiritual disciplines, the more you will feel able to achieve what you want. And you will surpass this person because you're heading from the right place. They've kind of got pulled into the dark side almost. Okay, let's have a look at the second sign, which is from dreams. And that's interesting. That came up for another one, death. So it's not like dreams of death aren't to be frightened of. Death as a symbol isn't to be frightened of. It's a bit like death in the tarot. It's about change and transition. If you dream about things dying, about the sort of cycles of life, all of those sorts of things, then that is telling you that you are heading towards being able to deal with this. I'm also getting, again, if this is generational karma, it might even be sort of dreams or learning and knowledge about things in the past, people who have passed on. It might be a very key thing to this if you resonate to it being somehow connected to generational karma. Okay, let's get you some either astrology or a numerology to light your way. First house. This is why your ally is going to be important. You do have to understand that you matter too. I feel like one of your issues is about like being so on the cause that you might forget yourself. It's also like the house in the way, the beginning of the chart's a bit like the beginning of the major arcana. It's the hero's journey, the fool's journey. So I think it's very much saying that's you're on a quest around your Pentacles energy pile too. Ninth house, yeah, and learning is very important. Wisdom. There is a wisdom you have. There is a learning that is going to be very key to all of this. And Mars, action, yeah. There is a battle. There is a battle about this, but your wisdom and your focus on what your cause is going to sort of work very well for you in achieving your Iron Throne. So to finish off, want a little bit of humour because I thought these could be a bit heavy as we go through, and also a way to kind of remind you that there are 3 other readings in this collaboration looking at the other suits. So I've chosen, there's different oracle decks, which if you're familiar with my channel, you've seen occasionally, like the success oracles, the love oracles, and so forth. I've chosen 3 of those that I think each represent the other suits, sort of, so to look at, what the cups energy would be around your pentacles, way of getting to the Iron Throne. I'm using the love oracles to look at the ambition and the drive and all of that sort of thing. Of the wands, I'm using the success oracles, and for the kind of inspiration and genius and so forth of the air or swords suit, I'm using the music oracles. So firstly, let's see and this could just be funny. If it's just funny, it's just funny, but we'll see what the advice is. We'll see what we get in terms of the cups energy. So that's in relation to Odessa's readings, kind of a connection through. Britney Spears, wow, okay. Then in terms of wands energy, which is Reena's pick a card group for the collaboration, we have Serena Williams. Wow. That's being on a quest. That's getting out ahead of things, isn't it? And then for the swords, which is Damselflies, using the music oracles, Debbie Harry. Very strong. Actually, this is very interesting, I ought to say, that 3 out of 3 are women here, and there's that sort of sense, as I say, this patriarchal thing. Maybe some of this is about clearing energy in a family, in generational karma, or even in an organisation or something, about getting a balance back, bringing the divine feminine forward. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what this is indicating. But anyway, in terms of the cups, the heart, that energy around this, Brittany suggests to you, when gambling with love, hedge your bets. So I think this is about knowledge, like making wise decisions. She says, take the risk of getting hurt, because being in love can be toxic, but the high is amazing. So for some of you, as I say, this could have been an ex-lover or something like that. There could be something you need to sort out in that area. She also says, trust your family to take care of you when you can't. That's interesting that she says that, given things, like this deck was made quite a while ago, given some of the things that's happened in Britney Spears' life more recently. But it's interesting. But I would say that there is going to be people within family, within the group, or whatever you can trust. But there is something that you've got to sort out in that area. For wands, Serena Williams, a podium finish doesn't mean you're done. So a quest never is done either. And when part of your Iron Throne is about being able to go within and have the self-esteem and have the wildness and move forward and be on your quest, that's never going to fully be done. She says, sell a style that can't be bought. Yeah, you can't be bought. I think maybe your challenger could be. And be your own umpire. Yeah, because maybe they were your umpire and now it's time for you to do it. Then over here around swords. So what you should be thinking, philosophy. Debbie Harry says, fools mistake their flesh for plastic. I think this is also about not being able to be bought. And sort of your flesh is you. It's not sort of something can be reproduced and so forth. She says it's not enough to be beautiful. You need to know how to be beautiful. Yeah, this is about like walking the talk. You walk the talk and stay open to new things and you will never stagnate. So yeah, constant learning and so forth. So part 2, I think you're on a quest. I think you're going to resolve things from your family, organisationally, whatever it might be. And this is all about you becoming really comfortable with who you truly are. And out of that, I think there will be material benefits, but it's like a journey within first, and to shed that which is no longer working. And you have the stamina to do this. Most people don't. But you do have a formidable, not enemy, I don't think it's an enemy. I think it's like either a former friend, a former lover, someone in your family, a former boss. It's like I just feel like for many of you looked up to this person, but they got embittered by something. So you're trying to atone for all of that and move forward and do something different. And I think ultimately you are going to rise above them and sit on the Iron Throne rather than them. So I hope that you enjoyed the reading. I hope that resonated. If so, please like the video and subscribe. I also hope that you go and see the other videos and see what cups and wands and swords have to tell you this Halloween. But for now, I wish you well and hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So this rather complex set of cards is meant to be like 3 groupings. And so the first is your energy that you are bringing to your quest for the Iron Throne, your skills, your energy, your approach. The second is what the Iron Throne represents to you on a kind of high level. And the third is some energy around either a competitor or challenger, or a number of competitors or challengers. That's, sorry for the ring light, that's Capricorn there. So what I'm trying to get here is a bit of a sense of both what you're trying to achieve and why, and how you do it, and also what might be the main environmental or sort of external or other person energy that you have to contend with. Because the whole sort of thing with Game of Thrones is nobody was going to get the Iron Throne without competing with a bunch of other people who wanted the Iron Throne. So I think that's very true of life. When we're looking to manifest, we have to remember that other people are also looking to manifest, and some in a similar area to us. Now, the interesting thing for you is that you've got a bit of an edge, whatever happens, because I think whatever your Iron Throne, there is a sense of destiny about it for you. You kind of know who you are. I think you've known who you were right from when you were young. You've always known. There's a wisdom there. And enacting that wisdom and taking it at the right time and understanding the cycles of time, when to let things grow, when to let them lapse, when to expand and when to contract. There's something in the energy of following the flow towards your destiny, which is part of what you want for the Iron Throne. You know you're meant to be on this Iron Throne. You know it may take a number of times to get there, or a number of attempts to get there. You have the wisdom to do that and to expand at a rate that's going to work for you. So, and it's you, part of your Iron Throne is you are expanding your horizons. You know, if you were, a manager in an organization, the Iron Throne is probably expanding up to being a CEO. If you were looking to start your business and you're a small business, it might be to end up with, a set of franchises or something. It's something about expansion, gradual growth and cycles of expansion to meet your destiny is your Iron Throne. And what you're bringing to this, you are very much the manifester. And the new ideas and the manifester, it's interesting, a combination of the Ace of Pentacles ultimately and alchemy, to me, says that you can grow whatever you want to grow. You really have the magic touch, the green thumb, but on a broader level than like being a gardener or whatever. As I say, being a gardener is fine. There's not, if that's what you want to do, a farm or any of those sort of things, that would work extremely well. But just allegorically, there is a blessing around anything you do in the Pentacles thing, and this is a reading about the Pentacles suit, so it's very, very strong. You're very strongly attuned to this, and this is again the destiny energy there. Very, very good. And you have the capacity when things don't work to like forgive, let it go, reduce burdens, do all that kind of thing, clear out the energy, get back to the beginning. Again, using the garden out analogy, clear out the old so that you can plant the new seeds, all of that kind of thing. And you retain a sense of enthusiasm and fun about what you're doing, way beyond what most people would do. You can really see it through. Because you've known probably since you were a baby that you've got a destiny. This is something that's meant. And if you think about Game of Thrones, the main characters that got through to the last series, they all had that sense of destiny. That's part of what drove them on, and I think this is part of what drives you on. And as I say, a great deal of sort of wisdom about the cycles of life and when to expand. So I think that you want to create something. Your Iron Throne is, could be creating a business, creating a career, creating a family, whatever it is in the Pentacles range. And you have an eye to the long term. You don't want to just create one thing that works. If you're a creative artist, you don't want to just have one exhibition that works and then that's it. You want it to be part of a series of things as you build and expand. You want a repertoire. You want a resume that is full of sort of expansion and growth and becoming more and more who you are. So in whatever way it is, you're for the long haul. You're the marathon person. All of which is fantastic. Very interesting what your potential challenger or maybe Achilles heel is over here, because there is someone or people around you that could be challenges at any given time. Because I think for you, there is growth that happens in cycles. You will have a tendency to draw in other people who are also very, very earthy, very materially oriented. So it's going to be particularly if this plays out in the workplace or something like that, or politics or anything about power. But you are going to draw other people who are like you. Like they're going to be similar to you. And some of them you might actually have relationships with. Like there's an attraction of likes here and maybe even kind of equal energies. But the thing is that they're a little bit more tricky. You know, sometimes they want to you know, have all the glittering prizes or whatever, and they like the sort of the intrigue, but they're a little bit more tricky. They're a trickster energy. They're not as grounded as you. They're not as alchemical as you. What you have is enthusiasm, fun, and vitality for the journey. They like the intrigue, the chemistry, you know. There's something. Your Achilles heel may well be people who are similar to you, but who aren't as dedicated to the outcome. They kind of like to play act it, and they love when chemistry and all that kind of thing comes into it. So it's a very interesting challenger energy around this. It's more like a love interest, or at least a very, you know, close friendship that isn't, it appears to be like you in many ways, but actually isn't. So interesting. So let's have a look with tarot. Let's get into a bit. So we're going to do a little bit about what is your power and your claim to the throne. What is the throne to you? Then we'll have a little bit more of a look at this energy over here as well. So what is your power and claim to the throne, to this destiny that you are following? Pile 3. 4 of Swords. Page of Swords. Ace of Coins reversed. You haven't yet fully done this. 7 of Swords reversed. 9 of Coins reversed. So it definitely, I mean, that makes sense too, the Ace of Coins, like that you wouldn't yet, you're on the journey. You're on the cycles to build it. You may have done it a few times before though. You may have actually learnt from those with the Ace of Coins reversed that didn't work. You know, you've forgiven that, you've learnt from it. That's part of your skill. It's part of your claim that when things don't fully flower, you learn from it and you retain your vitality. But I think your true destiny you haven't fully worked out yet. And part of that is because there's some duplicitous energy around you. Part of what you have to do, part of your destiny is to see that. And I think it's around relationships that if they're in work, they blur the edges. And if they're in romantic sort of things, they blur the edges in the other direction in terms of what your ambition is. So understanding that and finding the right people to connect with, because you can't do all of this on your own, it's saying with the 9 of Coins. Your claim to the throne, there is a destiny to it, but it is done with other people. So that's interesting. And what is part of your strength is that you can go in and contemplate what has happened, and you really can communicate well, and that's good, because this person's a bit of a trickster, but you can communicate very, very well. You know how to get other people interested in the vision and so forth. But there is something there's something about whatever world that you're in with this, and it feels like, you know, big organizations, political things, all that kind of thing, anything, or even maybe the arts, because the arts can be a bit like this as well, where there's sort of like the appearance of certain things and then there's what's really going on. You have a great deal of clarity, so you can see through that. But you do need to find the right people. That's part of your claim to the throne, is to be seen amongst many, and I think maybe to be the leader amongst many, but nevertheless to be with others. There might be a part of you that would prefer to be on your own, but you actually do know, and you do connect with other people. So let's see what the throne would be to you. Ace of Swords reversed. The Fool. King of Wands reversed. The High Priestess. Wow, okay. So this is the Alchemist. There's something very spiritual about this. Even if you're playing it out in like a big corporate, there's something spiritual about this. There is a spiritual wisdom to what you do, and this is partly the suspicions of destiny. It really is connected to your inner psychic ability, and you need to manifest it in a way that is true to that. That's going to be important to you. You wouldn't want to sit on the throne if you couldn't be true to that. It's definitely bringing in something new that, again, you haven't fully at this point worked out how you want that to be, what you want it to be like materially, what you want to say as your message, but it is bringing in something new. So I think you've come close to this a few times. And in fact, you know, it may not even be so much you came close. You got to certain mountains and then the next mountain and the next mountain. There's sort of like a very big one coming up. And I think it is about bringing more of the spiritual and less of the ego into something. So this might be what's sort of going on over here. This is not about ego. The interesting thing, none of these readings have been. It's sort of like, it's really interesting. It's like getting the Iron Throne is not about ego. It's about, you know, authenticity. And it's about the new. That seems to be true of all of the readings I've done today. So that's interesting. So let's see a little bit more about this person that battles with you. or the type of person that you might have to contend with. Two of Swords reversed, the Moon, Ten of Coins reversed, Knight of Wands reversed, Eight of Cups. Okay. Yeah, this is very much around emotional energy. This is, they may come to you, as I say, they may be in your workplace or around the business or the industry you're in, or it could be that they have an interest in what you're doing in your business and that kind of bleeds over. There's a Capricornian energy is there, but this is not someone who can be fully relied on. This is someone who won't make decisions. This is someone who keeps a lot of stuff hidden. They're not for the long haul on things. So you're on destiny. These are people who like to be around. It's almost like, actually, you feel like sort of someone who's sort of meant to sort of rise to prominence in something. It doesn't matter what it is, but there is always people around them, often people who connect on an emotional level or friendship level that appear to be on board, but they're really there by association. This is what it feels like. You're going to have people around you who are there, and they may use emotional, and sort of other sort of attractive sort of energy to sort of get to be around you and be in your orbit. It's like wannabes, that sort of thing, but they're not for the long haul. And if they don't get what they want, they withhold emotionally and sort of potentially physically. So there's something like that. I think your main issue is not so much a competitor on the field for who has the Iron Throne, but somebody who might draw away your energy from your destiny through sort of fairly mercurial sort of emotional energy. So let's have a look at a couple of cards for what you don't see that could be challenges, and also what are a couple of wild cards you have that help you in achieving your destiny, your Iron Throne. Page of Cups reversed. Sorry, I almost dropped the card, so I'm just going to shuffle for the second. The Lovers reverse. Oh, yeah. See, it's all about relationship. It's all about love. Yeah. So for you, there's something around where emotions and relationships get involved in, business or whatever it is that you just have to be aware of. That I think there are people who, I think you must shine very brightly. People want to be around you for that. You have to be very careful in that area. So what are a couple of wild cards for you? Temperance reversed. Magician reversed. Okay, all right. You can give as good as you get when you need to. You can certainly pick up when you're dealing with something duplicitous. It wouldn't last for long. You can pick up when you are around people who are not what they pretend to be, and you can pick it up by understanding there's a dissonance between what they say and what they do, between what they seem to feel and what they want. You can pick that stuff up a mile away, so that is good. But I think it kind of comes, first there's the sort of connection and then you see it. So I think it is saying that the kind of antidote to the issue you have within anyway, but you are going to draw this. You're probably very charismatic, or you're going to be very publicly known, because this sort of energy and this sort of issue, it's different to the other readings where it was more, competitors or people who were even further along the pathway or whatever. This is more personal. So let's get a little bit more information then on that. So I'm going to use a couple of decks that are around personality aspects for you, for an ally for you, and also a bit more about this energy. And then we're also going to use, for Halloween, the kind of mythic energy of the Deep, Dark and Dangerous Oracle for each as well. But firstly, for you, tune. Okay, so you're very in tune with what you're doing, and you can pick this up. This is the thing. It's not a big deal on one level because you'll pick it up a mile away once it happens. But I think what happens around, particularly if there's love and chemistry involved, at first it can be, of course, you've got to be open to it, because otherwise you'd never fall in love, because you could think everything was duplicitous. But I think that the beauty about this is that if it is, you'll pick it up. Also, some of you might do all this through music somehow with tune, or some sort of performance art that draws people in, which could draw this sort of energy into you, definitely. And then for an ally, weight, equilibrium. So this is sort of someone who's very grounded. There'll be someone very grounded about you who, when some of this is going on, would probably be able to sort of like point it out. I think you'd know anyway, but they'd be kind of the person you talk to and say, I'm getting this feeling about this energy. Do you think it's right? And they're likely to say yes. They know they've got a gravitas, and you respond actually very well to Pentacles. You may well be, as I say, an earth sign or have earth sign strongly in your chart, but you like earth sign energy. And I think I feel like there's an ally that has that as well. You're kind of drawn to that energy. And then something else about this type of energy, or this person, if it's a particular person. Conscientiousness. Okay, so that might, I think there's a bit trickster with this person, but I think they might at least at first come across as though they are very conscientious and very dedicated and very loyal. But this always has the dark side of this when it's not the case, so unscrupulous and immoral. So I feel like they probably come across as having the same vision and the same dedication. This energy will burn itself out though. You'll see it. They're not, but they would try and appear to be very ethical, very like you. Okay, let's get from another deck. They might also play on your conscientiousness sometimes too. They're trying to emotionally manipulate you. Be aware of that. Okay, for you, fire. So you may have pointy features, animated gestures, unruly hair, and flushed skin. You don't have to. I think this is just sort of like really that sense of like that kind of joy and enthusiasm we saw sort of in part of who you are and your skills. You are passionate, and you come across as passionate. You do draw in. This is probably legitimately passionate, admiring, loving nature to start with. It's just that this person is, these type of people, it's like they're drawn to your fire and your ability and your shine, I think. And it's not, you have to be careful because they may not be quite what they appear. Around the ally, plastic, perfect, cosmetic. They may appear to be very, kind of well put together and plastic. I don't think they are. They're not going to be unreal if they're their ally, but some people might think that they are. So again, there might be quite a few of you that this is sort of in arts or entertainment or something like that, or beauty industry. Could be something like that, or they could come from something like that. But this is just sort of like something to help identify them. I don't think that they are plastic by nature because they're your ally. And then, okay, cashmere, status, feminine, fine weave. Yeah, these people like the good life. Probably, again, very, fashion industry seems to be coming up quite strongly here. That sort of sense of what is beautiful and all that kind of thing. So they are alluring. They are. Okay, so let's get to the really pointy end of this now. Let's look at the deep, dark, and dangerous, where we look at three kind of Halloween mythical figures that might describe you, your ally, and your, I won't say nemesis. I don't think this is a nemesis because I think that they're actually you're able to see through them. But your competitor or the person who could like kind of take you off the path of your destiny for a while. I think that's kind of the energy we're looking at. So for you, that's interesting. This came up for another one. Selkie, freedom. You love to be free. You love to move with things. You're very creative. You're always about the new ideas and how to bring that in and following your destiny. So you will be able to move through this. This is also why if this is happening, you'll be able to disentangle yourself relatively quickly and easily. For your ally, the chimera, synergy. Okay. So they can bring things together. This is the equilibrium. The chimera is a sort of like a mythical being that's made up of a number of different things. And at its worst, it's something that isn't real. And you would maybe think with plastic and then that there, but because this is the ally and equilibrium, I think what this is saying is that this person can bring opposites and different people together and can make things work. In fact, if you were some sort of creative artist, you don't have to be, but this is an example that was very, very sort of inspirational in your destiny. You sort of go through cycles and bring things through, and this is partly why you attract these sort of people. This might be almost like a business manager or like a artistic manager or something like that brings all the pieces together. This is about synergy. Okay, and so then let's also look at the energy around the challenger or the person that could be an issue for you in achieving the Iron Throne. Hypnos, rest. Okay. I actually think what I'm going to take from that is the concept of Hypnos being, the god of sleep, the god of hypnosis. They could hypnotize you. They could make you rest or stop in your journey. So they are attractive, and I think they are genuinely attracted to you. But like as I say, they're not for the long haul, and they could be quite hypnotic. So I think you just need to be aware of that. All right. So what we also want to do is see a couple of signs when you're starting to head towards achieving the Iron Throne. So firstly, an oracle sign, connection. It's talking about how we are all connected. So like that sort of sense of connection, resonance, being in tune with others, getting the kind of the synergy with your sort of allies, all of that kind of thing. That's going to be one of the signs for you. So that's a powerful energy. So pay attention to when you feel truly connected, but truly connected, not kind of falsely connected. And a second sign is also oracle, nurture. Yeah, there's something about growth, like gardens, trees, all that sort of thing. I feel even though this is an oracle card, this deck has dream and oracle sort of visions. I also feel like it could be things that you dream about, nurturing things, growing things, so forth. When you feel that you're really starting to grow what this is and the cycles are in tune, then you'll know, and that you're connected. That's how you'll know that you're in the right place. In fact, it's going to tell you something about this, because if this connection isn't nurturing, then you'll know it's the wrong connection. Okay. Let's also get you some astrology or numerology to light your way. Waxing crescent moon. So the waxing crescent moon is new intentions and seeds. This is where you're at the moment, like you're starting to look at what your next cycle is, your next destiny. So this is, you're well in tune with your pursuit of the Iron Throne, pile 3. Full moon. And you also have harvested certain things. So yeah, this is why I felt that you've been doing this before. You're building a repertoire, you're building a resume, you're building a portfolio, whatever it is. And you know these cycles very, very well. So you know the patterning, you know what's going on. And Capricorn. Oh, okay, all right. So this is being, earthy, achieving things, being, making money, being seen, being in the world, being in powerful positions, whatever it is. But it could also be that this person is around you at the moment. That's possible. So if you think you know who this is, you're probably right. If not, maybe someone's sort of coming in through the workplace. But definitely it is also saying, separating out from Capricorn coming up twice, that there is a period of sort of new intentions through to harvest in the cycles of what you do for your career or for making money or whatever it is that the Iron Throne is to you. Okay, so to finish up, I just want to do something a bit fun. So I wanted to do something that was a bit lighter touch, because, looking at the Iron Throne's a bit heavy, but also that kind of reminded you that there are the other readings in this collaboration, looking at cups and at wands and at swords. So I've chosen 3 of the oracles decks, success oracles, love oracles, those sort of things, ones that I think align with that. So for the cups, so for the pick a card that Odessa is doing, so as a bit of a teaser for that, I'm using the love oracles, and your card is Henry VIII. Okay, all right, that's interesting. That's interesting. Like, that could almost sum up this energy in a way, if you think about it. Henry VIII. Loved passionately for a while, but was a bit of a dangerous person to be around. So I think there is a sense of that, that kind of energy, like it's in the area of love that the potential threat comes. We'll get to his advice, but then there's the success oracles, which I feel kind of aligns with the wands suits, so aligns with Reena's readings on Gold Key guidance about wands. And for that, we have Martha Stewart. Okay, and this is only the growth or whatever. Let's not worry about, what happened to Martha Stewart. Let's just worry about what she has to say. I think this is about this growth and nourishment and that kind of nurturing energy. And then also for air, I thought the music oracles for the inspiration, the sort of electric inspiration that music seems to be like, the sacred mathematics or whatever. So for Damselflies, pick a card about the air suit. We're using a music oracle deck, and we've got John Coltrane. That's pretty deep, pretty emotionally resonant and so forth. So Henry VIII's advice to you, and this is probably going to be humorous, I think, given his colourful love history, is act like a gentleman and you'll feel like a king. Well, I guess, always do the right thing. Don't get caught into this sort of like stuff. He says, a rose has thorns, cultivate kinder flowers. So this could be a little bit of a warning about, as I say, I think it's via sort of passion and almost sort of like fan idolatry that you've got to be a little bit careful. And he says, loving a great deal means sacrificing a great number. I think that's just humorous. But it could mean that, you need to make sure it's the right one. Martha Stewart for the Wands energy says, be a life support system. And there is something about nurturing and life and growth around this for you. She says, spring cleaning is always in season. So yeah, this is again, this sense. There's something about you where you clear out the old to bring in the new. And she says, turn your cottage industry into a castle. Yeah, there's something about your skills in these areas that will give you the Iron Throne. I think it's pretty much saying it. Or at very least the castle that the Iron Throne sits in. And then John Coltrane for the air suit for Damselflies reading. We've got take your solo but give others their moment too. Yeah, this is the equilibrium and the synergy and working with others. He says, if you follow your own truth, there are no false notes. Yeah, your truth, not necessarily the siren call of someone over there. And find beauty in the unexpected. So yeah, like the cycles and the change and all that kind of thing. For some of you, I'm just going to say, because I'm just getting it now, with forgiveness here, you may already have been through this situation. So this may be that it's just to remind you for the future. You might need to forgive and let that go, because this is, I don't necessarily think this person over here is malefic or anything. It's just, they're just not capable of constancy, I don't think. So there might be a kind of energy of letting that go to bring in the new. Okay. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 3. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe, and do go and see the other readings in this collaboration, because as I say, it's a really fun thing to sort of use some of the themes or concepts of literature. It's always so profound for what is in our life. So I'm really excited to be viewing my co-collaborators' readings around all of this, and I hope you will be too. But for now, I will wish you well and hope to see you in future readings.